Hey everybody, what's going on tonight? This is your October 3rd Raw Supershow review. Welcome to October, one of my favorite times of the year. Halloween and ghosts and goblins and zombies, etc, etc, etc. Almost makes me wish WWE had adopted WCW's Halloween Havoc. That would be amazing. Said last night in my review of Hell in a Cell that it was, to date, my favorite pay-per-view of the year, other than WrestleMania. Most fun I've had being a wrestling fan watching a show since WrestleMania. Now, to go from that excitement that I had last night to tonight's show was like dropping a boulder. Tonight's show, although a bunch of important stuff happened in the show overall was so blah, I can't bring myself to be very, very excited about it. So you'll excuse me if I'm not, I hope. We open up the show with the announcement that Cena, Kofi Kingston, Evan Bourne, CM Punk, Mason Ryan, and Sheamus are going to take on Alberto Del Rio, Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, Christian, Cody Rhodes, and David Otunga. Now, looking at that immediately, you think Mason Ryan came back 2 weeks ago, and he still hasn't done anything other than piss off Vicky Guerrero. Why is he in the main event? I will address that later. Start off, Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. That's right, Drew McIntyre has been pulled up from the land of obscurity, at least for one night, and I think what you all probably thought, this is going to be a squash match. This is just going to be used to prove how pissed off Randy Orton is, and he'll probably just beat him to a pulp and get himself disqualified. But no, Randy Orton looks like he's going to squash, looks like he's going to fucking own, till he gets into an argument with the referee, eats a big, big boot from Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre after that gets a quite lengthy bit of offense in before Orton gets back on track. Of course, Orton does get back on track. Suspension, DDT, and RKO gets you the win for Mr. Randy Orton. Henry comes out, belt held high in the rampway. They brawl on the ramp. Security comes down. John Laryngitis decides to come down and try to control all of this. They fail horribly, and Orton tosses Henry over the barricade. And we go to break. Henry, we come back to the show after the break, and Henry is still standing in the ring. We see another Hall of Pain, production video, highlight reel, whatever, and then there is the announcement. Big Show will be back on Friday night to confront Mark Henry. Then Mark Henry gets a match against John Morrison, and it's announced as John Morrison is going down to the ring that it is his birthday today, and this is going to be his big break, his big opportunity. Absolutely not. He gets absolutely squashed by Henry, and by squashed, I don't mean that he didn't do anything. I mean that everything he done was no-sold by Mark Henry to the max. Now, I want to take a moment and pause and think about something for a second. I catch a lot of shit for being a Randy Orton fan, because people say, oh, he never makes anybody look good, and he always wins, and he always looks dominant, and he's the next John Cena. Now, if you want my argument to that, look at these first two matches. Go watch Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre's match from tonight. Even though, yes, Randy Orton did win, he's a main eventer, Drew McIntyre's not. He won. He made Drew McIntyre look like a piece of fucking gold in the process. Now, Mark Henry no-sold everything that Morrison did to him tonight. Everything. So, yeah, and all the marks from Mark Henry goes, oh, well, they're just trying to make him look dominant, da-da-da-da. Yeah, when Mark Henry does it, he's just looking dominant, but when Randy Orton does it, it's bad. I don't think so. You all are fucking hypocrites. And I move on. John Laurinaitis backstage with David Otunga and Vicky Guerrero and all the, legal team storyline people. And they're hustling and bustling, and somewhere out in the mix there, you've got Alberto Del Rio in the back of the group, your new WWE champion in the back of this group. That's kind of funny, isn't it? Vicky says, John, thanks for all your help, but we're going to take our case to the people. We come back from break. Vicky leads Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, Dave Otunga, Christian, Alberto Del Rio, and Cody Rhodes to the ring. Alberto Del Rio talks about how The Miz and Truth attacked them after Hell in a Cell. Says Triple H is to blame. Christian goes on whining and complaining about how WWE is an unsafe work environment. Rhodes comes out, holding his hand over his face, over his mask, whatever. Triple H is a reckless and negligent ego and nothing else, and Vicky Guerrero, I do not understand why they did this tonight. And they did it twice. As they're talking about Triple H, Vicky Guerrero all of a sudden grabs the mic. As a woman, I feel particularly vulnerable in the current state of affairs in the WWE. Just, as a woman, don't fucking do it. And then Otunga comes in with his lawyer persona and said, I know the laws of, workplace safety, da-da-da-da-da, and we can either work in these unsafe conditions or we can take legal action. Trying to sound intimidating or smart or intelligent or something, and it's just not working. Triple H comes out, cuts a very, very brief promo, but it's brilliant. He just basically comes out and looks at them all like they're fucking nuts. What the hell happened to this place? We used to have men down there in that ring. I don't care about your lawsuit. I don't care about Miz and R-Truth's pending lawsuit. In the main event tonight, I hope you don't just sit there and bitch at each other, or I hope you actually fight. And then he just leaves. Doesn't even give anybody any time to respond, and I thought that was fucking brilliant. We see the highlights of Beth's victory at Hell in a Cell. I get happy all over again. Kelly and Eve versus the Divas of Doom for the millionth time, but instead of, having a match and, trying to compete, like an athlete, like a wrestler would do, no, we have Kelly just, losing her shit out by the commentator table and getting herself disqualified. And my girls, the Divas of Doom, win by disqualification, and Kelly's being torn away. You stole my title! You stole my championship! Da-da-da-da! On another side note, I had somebody comment to me on my Hell in the Cell review video that the WWE Divas title being a butterfly, it's kind of like a tramp stamp. So, for the foreseeable future, I'm going to refer to the Divas champion as the tramp stamp champ. So, Beth is still the tramp stamp champ. I'm a happy kid. Kelly looks weaker than ever, which is true. She's sad that the last blowjob she gave Triple H did not let her retain the title one more time. We all feel bad for her. We get rid of her, we bring in some real wrestling women, and we'll be good to go, right? Triple H and John Laurinaitis in the back. John Laurinaitis apologizes for whatever he thought he needed to apologize for, and told Triple H he needs to apologize for knocking him over at the pay-per-view last night. Starts questioning Triple H on, nobody thinks you're doing a good job, you should vote, poll the company and, take a vote of confidence from the entire roster, the entire staff, and Triple H just says, yeah, I'll do that as long as you're out there too, and you can look me in the eye and you can tell me what kind of a job you think I'm doing, which is fine. So they're going to do that later tonight. Randomly, just to keep The Rock in everybody's, memory and whatnot, they showed a deleted scene from the movie Fast 5, which is coming out on DVD this week, so I guess it all kind of made sense. Next match was actually a bigger piss break than the Divas match. Yeah, I said it. Jinder Mahal versus the returning Santino Marella. Santino Marella comes in with a stupid Cobra sock puppet on and makes fun of Jinder's, home language, whatever, because, that's going to do wonders if you have a multicultural fan base there, WWE. In a 1-minute match and a Cobra, the returning Santino Marella gets the victory. I'm really, really saddened by this because, now that Great Khali is out of the way and out of the storyline, I would love to see what Jinder Mahal can do on his own as a legitimate competitor, because I'm sure he could do a lot better than competing against Santino, but then anybody could. We see a highlight video for Brodus Clay. Again, out of nowhere. Are they going to give him a push? Is he going to come to SmackDown? Is he going to go to Raw? Is he going to team up with Alberto again? There's no reason given for the package. It's just, Brodus Clay is still a WWE superstar. Just thought we'd remind you. Really, really no reason. So we come back. We have a review of Miz and R-Truth's ambush after Hell in the Cell, which was awesome. I thought it was awesome. I thought the entire way Hell in the Cell ended last night was tremendous. And then we saw Miz and R-Truth's YouTube video apology to the WWE Universe, saying very specifically, we didn't want to do anything bad to you guys. We needed to make a statement like Triple H used to make a statement. He's a hypocrite. He used to do the same kind of things to make a statement that we are now, and yet we're the ones getting punished for it. And we apologize to the WWE Universe. So that was, I don't want to say that was bad. It was just kind of there and didn't really do anything for me other than make them look like they're begging for approval. And they went by their real names. They went by Mike Mizanin and Ron Killings, and the whole the impact of the whole real name thing, they call The Rock Dwayne Johnson now. CM Punk and Triple H have called each other Phil Brooks and Paul Levesque. So for Mike Mizanin and and Ron Killings to say, these are your boys, Mike and Ronnie, it doesn't have the effect it would have 6 months ago or a year ago. So it's not. I don't know what to say. I guess it's supposed to still be impactful, but it's not. At least not to me. In the 12-man tag, Mason Ryan, although I don't agree with him being in the match, his participation in this match was booked to make him look like a beast. And he lived up to it in the match. He looked impressive and dominating, Batista 2.0, like we've been saying since he debuted the first time. And that's okay. There was an amazing couple of minutes of exchange between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. When Cody Rhodes gets the big push, he's in a situation where him and CM Punk are in contention for a major title, that would not hurt my feelings in the slightest. Evan Bourne had a great showing once again. Mostly, he looks really, really good when he's going up against Swagger or Ziggler. So, another Evan Bourne highlight reel moment. Like a big multi-person match does. There was Finisher Fury. Everybody rhymed off a finisher, and people that don't have a specific finisher, don't beat me while I'm doing a video. People that don't have a specific finisher were rhyming off something at least impactful. I think David Otunga managed to pull off a neck breaker, so, good for him. Ultimately, Sheamus with a brogue kick to Ziggler for the win. The faces win. Everybody's happy, theoretically, right? Now it is time for the vote of confidence. Now, I like the way they brought everybody in. They brought in, the Raw Superstars, with the Raw music playing, and they did it in 2 different chunks, which was also kind of cool. They brought in a chunk of Raw Superstars and a chunk of SmackDown Superstars. And then all the divas, and they came out to the diva music, and then the refs, all the referees came out to no music. And then you had another chunk of Raw Superstars, another chunk of SmackDown Superstars, and you had Jerry the King Lawler, who we all thought was out injured, come out just on his own. Triple H comes out, addresses the entire roster, says, yeah, I'm old school, I don't like to deal with lawyers, I don't like to deal with all the bureaucratic bullshit, I would rather just see a fight, I would rather see confrontation, I would rather see mayhem, da-da-da-da. And ultimately, I'm going to remind you, I work for the fans because they sign our paychecks. I don't work for you guys. Wade Barrett, because, Wade Barrett needs to have a microphone, gets up and talks about the same, the unsafe workplace environment, da-da-da-da. Triple H, you are to blame for all this chaos. And Triple H points out to him, like, you and Nexus were a 10-man team trying to destroy this show not even a year ago. I don't think you're mad that there's chaos. I think you're mad that there's chaos that you are not causing. I thought that was freaking brilliant. One of the referees said, and they gave the referee a mic, which I was really surprised by, but then again, it's supposed to be the whole company, so it was a really neat thing that they gave the referee a mic and the referee had time to talk and whatnot. Says, yeah, we're not superstars, we're not big intimidating features, and we are abused from time to time, but we have never been abused more than we have since you've taken over. And Triple H looks at him and basically says, I fired Miz and R-Truth for assaulting you guys. What else would you like me to do, If you don't like it, there's the door type of an attitude. And then Kelly Kelly, the dominant diva in the WWE right now, takes a leaf out of Vicky Guerrero's book and says, I'm going to speak for all the divas, and, as women in this company with all this chaos going on, we just feel especially vulnerable as women. And Triple H looks at her and says, name one thing that has happened to any of you since I took over, and then they basically shut up. Then the seriousness comes out. King comes out into the ring and says the show is spiraling out of control, the WWE is spiraling out of control. It's not your fault. Somebody is conspiring against you, somebody doesn't want you to have this job, but you being here is causing it. And Kristen grabs the microphone and says, you know what, enough of this, enough stalling, enough this, enough that. We're not going to do this next week or next month or at the next pay-per-view. We're going to do this right now. Let's take our vote, and I vote no. And he basically goes back and sits down, and King says, again, Triple H, I don't blame you for this, but I got to vote no, and my actions are going to speak louder than my words because I'm walking out. And King walks out, and all the heels walk out, the refs and the divas walk out, everybody starts walking out, they zoom in on Michael Cole and Booker T as they walk out, the timekeepers, the ring announcers, the cameramen put their cameras down, And it gets to the point where the only person at ringside other than Triple H is JR. And there's this big solemn, serious stare between JR and Triple H, but he eventually does walk out as well. Triple H stands in the middle of the ring looking, very helpless and okay, what do I do now? Type of thing. The crowd is going nuts cheering for Triple H at this point, and I'm pretty sure that's what the whole segment is meant to evoke and, get a bunch of sympathy from the crowd and whatnot. But, John Laurinaitis comes and stands on the rampway and just shakes his head at Triple H, all cocky and superior and unapproving and all that sort of thing. And it's just... And that's how the show ended. The show ended... I was explaining it to somebody on Facebook right as the show came to an end. It's... My opinion of this show being so low and being so blah would not be nearly as bad if we weren't coming off such a great show last night. Last night's show ended with a big bang. This show's attitude, this show's whole momentum and atmosphere and emotion ended on a pathetic little whimper. And that's it. And the whole, my problem with it being is, yeah, you can have anger, you can have celebration, you can have, rivalry, you can have all that kind of thing. There's very, very few moments where wrestling is supposed to feel sad. And that's how it feels they're booking the Triple H COO story, is we're all just supposed to be very, very sad and very, very emotional and sympathetic to Triple H. It's ultimately a business that consists of people pretending to beat the shit out of each other. There's no room for sad, and when you end on sad, unless it's, HBK's retirement, Flair's retirement, Edge's retirement, somebody's passed away, etc., etc., yeah, absolutely. When it's actual real-life sad shit, then you can be sad in the wrestling world. But to book a sad storyline just makes the enthusiasm it's gone. And that's how I felt at the end of the show. Like, there was some good match points. There was some decent wrestling on the show tonight that I actually enjoyed a lot. But my enthusiasm for the show, what little there was, absolutely went down the toilet in that last segment. It's like, poor Triple H, he's doing the best that he can. And that's really not a way you want to end a show. Now, scores, fails, and MVPs. Now, I will say, other than the last segment, there's a lot of stuff here, and as I analyze the show like I always do. I do have a lot to say about it, even though I'm not that excited about it, if that makes any sense. One of the best things I can say about this show this week is the show started with a match. The show started with Orton versus Drew McIntyre. This show did not start with a lot of talking. I like that. It's, I use it a lot, and I've borrowed it from Taz, and it's an expression that always works. That whole no warming up in the bullpen type mentality. The show starts, you're in a match. I like that. They don't do that enough. They should do it more. They did it tonight. I like it. Moving on. Orton was actually introduced as the Apex Predator Randy Orton. He has been introduced as the Legend Killer. I think he's been introduced as the Viper. This is the first time that I've actually taken notice of him being introduced as the Apex Predator, and I like that because it works. In the scuffle with Mark Henry after his match with Drew McIntyre, Orton tosses Henry over the barricade. Now, it's a little thing. It's a little spot in the scuffle, but I like it for this reason. Henry has gone over Randy Orton 2 pay-per-views in a row now. Now, granted, that's only been in the space of 2 weeks, but whatever. He's lost his title to Mark Henry, and he has failed to regain his title from Mark Henry. Orton needed to do something to put a ding in Mark Henry's invincibility, to prove Mark Henry can still be manhandled. Mark Henry is not untouchable. Not only can Mark Henry be manhandled, but he can be tossed on his ass. And that's what that did for me tonight. Similar situations, like feats of strength, like anything else. Like when Mark Henry, was able to World's Strongest Slam the Great Khali, when Ezekiel Jackson had his big push and he was repeatedly body slamming the Big Show. It's one of those things where Randy Orton can say, yeah, I haven't won my title back yet, but I haven't really scurried away either, so, watch out, type thing. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Orton sold the hell out of Drew McIntyre tonight. For somebody who has been wallowing in the depths of WWE obscurity for as long as Drew McIntyre has, he needed a match like he had tonight. He needed somebody like Randy Orton who could make him look like a fucking superstar. Because Mark Henry's not making anybody else try to look good, is he? No. But Orton can do it. Christian can do it. Sheamus, to a certain extent, can do it. Edge, when he was still wrestling, he did an amazing job of it. And that's something Randy Orton never gets enough credit for, especially here in the YWC. The idea that Vicky Guerrero is not only gaining power in numbers and all that, but she is gaining power in gold. On her 6-person team tonight, she had the WWE Champ, the US Champ, and the Intercontinental Champ. That's a lot of gold. That's a lot of winning power. That's a lot of, that's a lot of gold to have in one camp. Kelly going nuts tonight leads me to believe that Kelly is going to do a heel turn soon, because, what else can she do? Wipe the crust off the side of her mouth. Kelly going heel means Divas of Doom going face. I would love to see Divas of Doom go face. It would be ridiculous. It makes more sense. They're the ones that are the wrestlers. They're the ones that deserve to be champion. They're the ones that if somebody else comes along and steals the title from them, which is the only real thing Kelly can do right now, she should get the heel heat because she doesn't deserve it. Right now, it doesn't make any sense to put heel heat on the ones that deserve to have the belt. Does it? Sorry, Preston, you lose. All-Star Championship main event. And I'm going to put this over to Gold Power again. The only male title holder that was not in the main event tonight was Mark Henry. You had the WWE Champ, you had the US Champ, you had the Intercontinental Champ, you had the Tag Team Champions. And like I said, friggin' Evan Bourne specifically looked incredibly professional and excellent tonight. So, in general, my last score, in general, is chaos. I love when there's chaos in the WWE. I love when it's not just, this guy fighting this guy, and this guy fighting this guy, and this guy fighting this guy. I love when there's an overwhelming realm of chaos that, touches everybody. It's more involving, even though it wasn't that as exciting tonight, like I've said. I love when there is a chaos, there is an unrest that is felt by everybody, not just, this guy's fighting for this belt, or, this guy took this guy's girlfriend, and, it's all very segmented and almost odd. Now, fails. Oh, yes, the ongoing burial of John Morrison. I am a big John Morrison fan, but WWE is doing every single thing they can to bury this man, giving him every opportunity in the world and having him get squashed at every turn. And in this case with Mark Henry, literally, squashed by, 400, 500-pound black man landing on you. That's always awesome. Okay. I like the Vicky Guerrero, like I said, lots of gold in one camp thing. I don't like the fact that the WWE champion is a minor part of a major team that seems to be led more by the US champion. That doesn't make much sense, does it? Alberto Del Rio did not get any celebration time for winning his title back. Alberto Del Rio, if you follow the storyline, went into an environment that he's never been in before, as in Hell in the Cell, against the two biggest names in the WWE right now. Sorry, Randy Orton, but those two people are John Cena and CM Punk. Went in with, like I said, into an environment he had never been in before, in a triple threat scenario against the two biggest names in the company, with everybody thinking he was a fluke and nobody thinking he was going to win, and came out the winner. He should have had some type of moment of celebration on the show tonight. It's a heel cocky thing, but he should have had it tonight for sure. Intercontinental Champion Cody Rhodes defended his title, in an unannounced match in his street clothes with no preparation after introducing that awesome new Intercontinental belt. That should have been an amazing moment. That should have been acknowledged tonight more than it was. I didn't like that those two major champions are sort of sitting in the shadow of people like Vicky Guerrero and John Laurinaitis and David Otunga as just, part of the team. That's not how it goes, is it? My next fail is Santino Marella coming back at all. First of all, Santino Marella doesn't contribute anything, and he looked like he was high when he was out there tonight anyways. And the Super Cobra Snake sock puppet thing makes me want to gag. Anybody that tries to tell me, Zack Ryder is ridiculous or whatever with his headband needs to look at the Santino sock puppet. Oh, yes. Now, I said I'd mention it now, and I am mentioning it now. Mason Ryan, as good as he was booked in the main event tonight, didn't really deserve to be there. I can think of two people off the top of my head that make more sense for being in there than than Mason Ryan do. Mason Ryan is there because of his problems with Swagger and Ziggler and Vicky. Now, as far as that goes, two people that have had problems with them a lot longer, two people that deserve U.S. title matches, and two people that would have made more sense to be put in there would have either been Zack Ryder, oh yes I said it, or Alex Riley. Yeah. Shove one big guy in there just because he's big, that shows the still existing Vince component of WWE, does it not? Who is the leader of the heel faction? This is never, ever, ever clear. Is it John Laurinaitis? Is it Vicky Guerrero? Is it David Otunga? If Alberto Del Rio's in there, it does make sense that Alberto Del Rio should be the leader of the group, being the WWE champion, doesn't it? But it doesn't seem to be that way. There's a lot of uncertainty. Like, okay, if you want to picture the heel faction as a snake, you need to know who the head is so you can chop that head off and then work on the rest of the team. But we don't have that clarity right now, do we? No, we do not. And like I say, the sad ending to the show, wrestling shouldn't be sad. That just dips the entire enthusiasm, whatever enthusiasm there was, from the show completely out of you, and you're just kind of left with, huh, yeah. MVP for tonight has got to be Cody Rhodes for his exchanges. His exchanges, as I said today, as I said earlier, with CM Punk in the context of that 12-man tag, were the highlights of that match for sure. And I would love to see those two, like I said, have a rivalry sometime in the future. Anyways, guys, I have been Spaz. Subscribe up there, talk down there. Let me know what you think. Start a conversation. Leave your questions in the moderator, and I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.